These are the other types of problems in this factor by grouping section. I have 4 terms here, but there are no parentheses. One option I have is to try to insert these 4 terms into a factor box to find my factors. Be very careful when you do this that you put your factors in order. I cannot just throw the 3a squared here and the 2 here. I need to put all these 4, I'm going to go from left to right here, and I'm going to go in order inside of my factor box. What's left is just to figure out what goes on top of my columns. These have nothing in common. These two have a 3a. Over here has an a squared, and right here a 2. So my factors, 3a plus 1 times a squared plus 2. There's another way I can handle this problem, though, using the factor by grouping methods we've been doing in this section. If I rewrite these terms using parentheses, and I'll group the first 2 together and group the last 2 together, I'm going to use the factor by grouping that we did earlier. These two both have the a squared in common. These two both have a 2 in common. What's left over in parentheses they have as a common factor. We're putting it out in front and writing what is left over, a squared plus 2. This is the same result we got using the box method. Here's another example of factor by grouping when you have 4 terms. This example is especially important because we need to consider what happens with these negative signs. Our first way of finding the factors is using the factor box. 4 terms, and there's 4 openings in the box. Remember that order matters. No, not m, n cubed, 2n squared, minus 4n minus 8. So, find the common factors. Here is 2, here is n, this is an n squared, and this is a negative 4. So my final factors here are n plus 2 times n squared minus 4. Did anyone catch the fact that this is a difference of squares rule? Dos. So we need to keep factoring. This is n plus 2 right here. This one can be split up into 2 factors. n here, square root of 4 is 2 plus minus. Now I am almost certain that the back of the book is going to group these together and write your answer as this. You are just fine leaving it here. Here's our other method of factoring this same polynomial. This one's trickier because of these negatives. We're going to rewrite the terms, grouping the first 2 together and grouping the last 2 together. And this is where it gets a little tough. If I just write negative 4n minus 8, this is not equivalent to this. Because I threw parentheses here, I'm really factored out a negative. The 4 needs to be negative, as does the 8. But if I multiply this negative, distribute this negative out, I'm going to get the negative 4, but I'm going to get a positive 8, and that's going to be a problem. So that means if I want a negative sign in front of this group of factors, I need to divide both of these by a negative so that I get a positive 8 inside. Now if I distribute, I will get what's up here. So we had to factor out that negative. Now I'm going to continue on with my factor by grouping. These two both have an n squared in common, and I'm left with n plus 2, minus, both of these have a 4 in common, and I'm left with n plus 2. If I didn't factor out this negative, which changed this 8, I wouldn't have the same two factors here. Put the common factor out in front, the n plus 2, and I'm left with n squared minus 4. And again, this is the dose rule. Keep factoring. n, 2, 2, plus